Hi everyone, I'm really happy to be back with this new video, and in this video I'm going to talk about what we can expect for the second half of 2022. And first of all, I would just like to say that everything I'm going to talk about in this video, current energies, future energies, it's all really in one given moment, which is the present moment. And of course, energies and timelines are things that change, that can change and evolve. So what I'm speaking about today might change tomorrow. So just, have that in mind. So the first thing I just wanted to mention is that I don't know if you are aware, but a lot of things have been happening in the world in the past weeks. A lot of changes have been happening in the past weeks. A lot of political figures have been stepping down in various countries, and this really shows us that there is a very big progress of the light on this planet, and you just have to see a little bit and learn how to read between the lines to really see that a lot of things are happening currently. So the energies that we have been experiencing in May and June were pretty intense, really intense energies, and they were quite chaotic, quite volatile, and that's because there was lots of solar flares happening during those 2 months, and also because there were the eclipses. And the energies are gonna, continue to be intense, but for the month of July and August and probably the start of September, they are going to calm down just a little bit. So they will still be intense, but we will be feeling maybe a little more lightness in the air. Like, almost like a kind of break we were having. Because of course, solar flares, eclipses, every time things like that happen, there's a lot of very high frequency, coming to the planet. And so we might have been feeling very tired. I need to sleep more than usual or to take naps, and that's because our bodies are adjusting to those higher frequencies, and they are very heavy sometimes for us to kind of adapt to. So it's perfectly normal if we feel this tiredness and we feel just the need to rest more. But now July, August is going to be a little bit more lighter on that side, and if you are going on a holiday during the summer, just have a wonderful holiday and, enjoy your holiday fully, because in autumn, the energies are going to change again, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So what really came through very strongly is that because we are experiencing energies that are very quick, that are very chaotic and very volatile, there is really this need to settle down and to slow down. So I had this image, Buddhists, they always use this metaphor when they meditate of the, kind of like a bucket filled with water, and, the mind is very active and there's full of mud in the water. But when we calm down, when we center ourselves, then progressively we see this mud coming down to the bottom of the bucket. And that's really what we are called to do continuously now in the next weeks and months. Because the more we are centered, the more we are aligned, and the more it's going to be easier for us to navigate really the energies that we are experiencing that will be growing in intensity, especially in the fall, as I mentioned. So the energies and the chaotic energies and volatile energies, it's almost like it shakes the mud back into the water, so it's like, even though when sometimes we are centered and calm, the energies, they act like, like if we are shaken, and this mud just spreads again in the water. So every time we notice that our minds are again very active, or that emotions, are quite chaotic as well, just let's take a time to breathe and to slow down and to settle down back again in our center. The other image that I had is, what we are experiencing also right now with these high frequencies is that our past identity is starting to kind of dissolve and to melt. So I had this image, of like holding an ice cream cone in the hand, and the sun comes out and this ice cream starts to melt. And the ice cream really represents our ego structure, our past egoic structure. that, you know, we have been carrying from our childhood, our conditioning. So we are holding on to this ice cream cone, and because it is so comforting, you know, it reminds us of our childhood and the past. So this ice cream really represents the ego that is starting to melt, and it's starting to drip to the ground. And because we just want to eat this ice cream and to hold on to it, we almost like, you know, gather all the ice cream that is melting and trying to put it back up again. So this is really a metaphor to tell us that this ego structure that is melting and, you know, dropping to the ground, we should really allow it to actually drop. We should allow it to dissolve, and we should not try to take it back, you know, and bring it back again in the cone, in the ice cream cone. So of course, what does that mean? You know, on a more concrete level, it means, you know, maybe working on past traumas, past wounds, which also really, you know, points to the inner child and inner child work that we can do. So, because all the structures, all the ego structures are really inherited from our childhood, basically, and also from, you know, the family structure that we were raised in. Another big theme that is going on for us right now is also a big change in our relationships, whether it's love relationships, friends, family. There's a lot of transformation going on. And basically what was initiated in 2020, so maybe in 2020 we already had, you know, kind of hints of certain relationships not being the right ones for us, or feeling that we have more awareness concerning certain relationships, and also perceiving maybe the shadow aspect that belong to that relationship. So all of that kind of, you know, changed our mind about a lot of relationships that we had. And what is really happening for 2022, and it's going to happen throughout the end of 2022, is like we are going to experience a closure of certain of these relationships. So it's really like a very collective energy right now, where we are really, you know, being called to really align with the people that resonate with us and who are a vibrational match. But a vibrational match more on a higher level and a more positive level, more on a soul level, let's say, and not necessarily the shadow aspect anymore. So this is also very natural, you know, and that's because the new relationships that we will be experiencing with this new reality emerging are relationships that are really based on authenticity, that are kind, that are loving, that are respectful, and where we can really feel that there's also this equality between, you know, all the people involved, which is not necessarily the case for our past relationships, because obviously past relationships or some relationships also, you know, they kind of point us to the shadow aspects that are also within ourselves, so we can become aware of them. So if we have become aware of these shadow aspects of those relationships, they will come to a closing during this year, and probably during the end of this year. A very strong message that came through, and this is probably the most important message of this video, is that it's not important to know exactly what's going to happen. So we all know that there is a lot going on, and there will be probably a lot going on throughout the end of the year. As I said, things are going to become really intense. But what is important is to actually cultivate our own energy in our inner temple. And our inner temple is, of course, our physical bodies. So, as I mentioned, the fall is going to be quite intense energetically. I really connected to the energy, especially of October, and I really felt this very strong power inside my body. So I thought, wow, okay, so if this is coming for everyone, it's going to be quite powerful. But not to be afraid. Really, if we remain aligned in our center, and if we remain in this really cultivation of our own energy, things are going to get much easier for us, or at least they're going to seem easier than, you know, probably what we're going to perceive outside. Concerning October, I almost feel like a dimensional shift, something very strong and powerful. And what really came through is that the more we are going to be aligned with our hearts, and the easier it's going to be to navigate those energies. Because ego consciousness is going to have a hard time on this planet, and the people who are still very identified with the ego are going to have a very hard time with the energies that are coming in. And the more we are really accepting that these old structures of the ego are dissolving, the more we are really aligned in our hearts, and the easier it's going to be, or at least we will perceive things much with more fluidity and more peace than we usually do. We are really guided to align ourselves with our hearts. And what does that mean? That means we have to open up our heart centers. We have to breathe in our heart centers. We have to allow ourselves to feel more compassion, more unconditional love for ourselves and the world, and also allowing ourselves to be more vulnerable. And I just also wanted to say a big thank you to all of you for my previous video where I was sharing something a bit more vulnerable and personal, and I'm so happy that you are able to send me so much light and love. I really receive all of your wonderful gifts. Thank you very much. So this is really also a theme that's coming very strongly. It's that we have to be just ourselves in a more authentic way and allow ourselves to be more vulnerable even in front of people, other people. So that's also part of the opening of the heart center, and this is really also connected to the vision I had during the winter solstice last year, where I really had this vision of this great big heart, human heart, that is opening up, activating, filled with light and connecting. That's what I really felt at the time, connecting to the Christ consciousness, the heart of the Christ consciousness that is activating and opening in the heart of humanity. And of course, ancient civilizations, they have been through sometimes great cataclysms on Earth, and that doesn't mean that we are going to experience that again on Earth. But the message was really that, you know, I talked recently about the Lemurians. We can also talk about Atlantis, etc., or other civilizations that have, you know, experienced really great cataclysm that actually made their civilization disappear. They were prepared for those cataclysms. They had prophetic visions of what was going to happen, and because they were so in tune, you know, with source and with themselves and with their hearts, they could really prepare for what was coming for them. So even though we are not going to experience the same cataclysms they went through, we are also being really guided to prepare ourselves energetically for what is to come. And this really comes through the fact that we are learning to align ourselves with our heart center. And when we are in alignment with our hearts, and of course the heart is the seat of our higher selves, it is the seat of higher consciousness, it is the seat of source energy, pure source energy and love. So when we are in alignment with our hearts, we are in alignment with our higher selves and with the divine. And what happens when we listen to our hearts and we are aligned with our hearts, life naturally aligns with us, which means that things become much more easy for us, much more fluid, and we are able to manifest things much more quickly. And this is also something that I feel very strongly right now, is that we are going to be able to manifest very rapidly and in a very easy way, very fluid way, maybe that we never experienced in our lives before. And that's really great news, I think, for all of us. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very soon for a new one. Take care, Sat Nam.